Hello, 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 and welcome back for another episode of the Corona Spotlight 2020. I am Gayle Nicholson, your host of the day, and I am really, really happy to be able to introduce to you this amazing find that I found. This gentleman literally fell out of the sky onto a page where I had put out some inquiries and agreed graciously to come on my show. His own show is something that I aspire to for as programs go, mentoring. Um, what he's built over the years has really piqued my interest, and I'm interested to learn so much more about him. Please help me welcome Tyhson Banighen, who is an extraordinary guide for empaths and hosts the Wellness Show. So, thank you for joining me today, Tyhson. How are you?
I'm fine, and it's a great pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on your show. It's always wonderful to join other people on their show rather than just be the host of my show.
Well, I am delighted that you are here. We are blessed with your presence. Thank you so much. Um, like you said, it's always fun to guest on other people's show. So I'm really, really glad that you're here. I had the opportunity to tune in a little bit this morning as you were talking with Laura on your show about that sense of abundance and prosperity and how we come to understand it through reading, whether it's the Bible, whether it's understanding other points of view like Gaia and Mother Nature. But the principles always remain the same, and I love that. I absolutely love that. So let's begin, please, with give me a little bit of background of where you've been and where you intend to be going in the near
Oh,
future.
well, I'll have to do the short version. I'm one of the luckiest guys on the planet in that I've had so many lifetimes in this lifetime that, well, someday maybe I'll write a book, but then maybe I won't. But I've been able to do so many different things to travel the planet, work with young people, be an environmentalist for 30 years, work with government at the local watershed level, at the provincial level, federal level as a consultant, be a delegate to with the Canadian government to the United Nations, work on the United Nations Council on Sustainable Development. I've done all sorts of different things. And I think as an environmentalist, my love for Mother Earth, for all of life, for all the animal kingdom, and for humans was really, really powerful. And it was a big change for me to wake up one morning at a conference, and it was 30 environmentalists were in the room, and it was an opportunity for us to share. And the question that we were asked is, why are you an environmentalist, and what's your passion? And there was about 30 of us in the room, and by the time we got halfway in the room, we'd gone through about 4 boxes of Kleenex. I thought,
Wow.
whoa, what am I doing? These people are being eaten alive by their emotions, are in so much pain, so much trauma. They're so empathic about what's happening to Mother Earth and to the environment, and they're taking it so personally. They're in overwhelm, and I don't think I want to do this anymore. I could see it in the mirror of the others people's eyes what I was doing to myself, that I was trying to convince people to change how they showed up on planet Earth when I wasn't able to change how I showed up myself. So, excuse me while I turn this off. So that was a big eye opener for me. I thought, okay, now if people don't want to be transformed and changed environmentally by me encouraging to change however they show up, then how can I do that? So I thought, well, personal growth, that's what I need to do. I need to demonstrate how I can come to terms with this empathic feeling I have and help other empaths and sensitive people come to terms with what's happening around them so that they have the energy to go out and transform the world and make this a better place to live. So that was my big turning point in all the things that I did.
Your aha moment, as it were.
Yeah.
And then, so did you, how did you adjust to that? How did you pivot in that period of time that you were able to address what was going on with you and be an example for others? Were you able to do that?
Yeah, it was a bumpy road because at that time I was playing the role of a minor guru at the same time in intentional community. I was running a youth hostel, and I think we had something like 27,000 people through our front door over a 7-year period, and we, grew our organic food and fed them vegetarian, food, and could come and stay for 50 cents a night for 3 nights. Another after that, we assigned you to a crew, and the belief was, we can build a better world. So here's your shovel. Let's get to work. So
I love it.
back to the land. It was a lot of fun, but I woke up in that one and realized that I really didn't know what was right for my own spiritual growth, let alone anybody else's. And so that was another come to Jesus moment or another wake up call. And that was a really bumpy one to realize that I really had to let go of any pretensions I had. And in the midst of that was, resigning as a minor guru, and 50% of the community said, well, we told you so. You should have done that a long time. And the other 50% said, no, you can't do this. We need a daddy. So what was interesting out of that is I helped many other minor gurus detach themselves from their communities as well. It was really a period where we needed to make this shift from so people could learn how to do this on their own. So that was the inner quest of, okay, so what does it mean to become attuned with Gaia or Mother Earth? What does it mean to be an Earth steward? What does it mean to do it in a more benevolent way rather than telling people what you think? Or as an environmentalist, from a spiritual perspective, trying to say this is how you need to do this, or from the environmental perspective, do you need to change your habits? So how can we do this in a more compassionate way where I become the model of how to do it by doing the inner transformation and change myself? So I become the change I want to see in the world. So that was a big change around for me. So those are two big ones in my life that got me on a more compassionate, open-hearted path to help other people.
Beginning to feel like I'm speaking with a cat with 9 lives here.
That's exactly right. Yeah, 9 lives and beyond. Yeah, absolutely. And that's only a couple of them, right? And I've had them after, one after another, after another, after another. I would say at this page, I'm not looking for another one. Thank you. Just to let you know, right? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty settled in where I am now, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And I love the wellness show, which gives me an opportunity for anybody to phone in and ask me anything, right? Mm-hmm. And to be able to see if the guidance flows through, and to remind them that this is only my personal opinion, it's only my guidance. You get your own guidance, and I can help you get crystal clear guidance for yourself. So treat it with, well, what would you say? Just be careful that you just don't follow what I'm saying. Test it out for yourself to see if it works in your life. So this morning I was really quite an interesting topic, and find myself, getting into the Bible, which I usually normally don't do, but it really came through really clear in the guidance before the show that I needed to talk about this. So I was a little nervous about talking about abundance and all of what I did do on the show. So I get stretched too, because it's coming through me. It's not just me. It's what I'm allowing from source, consciousness, or God to flow through me when I open myself up in my heart. So it's like I get to go to school too, which is sort of cool.
Nice. Now, are you one of those that remembers what you say when you're allowing guidance to flow through you?
Yes and no, to some extent. If you say, what did you just say? I'm done. I can't tell you. Mm-hmm. If you give me a few minutes, then I can give you an overview, but not word for word.
Interesting. And I find that happens with an awful lot of people. It's as if when the guidance is coming through, it's bypassing the brain. And the only way back to it is to recall what you heard being said, just happened to be by your own voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I find that with a lot of different people. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Well, let's move a little bit into today's events, the last 2 months events. This coronavirus, quarantine, COVID-19 way of living, there are a lot of things and a lot of perspectives that we can take. But I want to ask you, what opportunities do you see this experience opening up for people, whether it be individually or as a society?
Yeah, great question. I think my favorite cartoon that I saw is, remember the Michelangelo painting of God reaching down with his finger to Adam, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this great cosmic sap. Well, there's God reaching down with his finger, and then there's the planet Earth, and then there's the reset button. And God's about to push the reset button. And to me, that's what this is all about. Okay, it's time to wake up in a different way, smell the coffee, do an assessment of how you were living your life, both individually, collectively, culturally, societal, religious, or whatever level, and and take a readjustment about, is this really what you wanted to do? Is this what you wanted to spend the rest of your life doing? Is this how you wanted to show up on the planet Earth? Is there things that you would rather have been doing? And if so, what are them? And do we really want to go back to whatever normal is? Even if they say you can't go back to normal, then if you can't go back to normal and they're saying this is what normal is, why don't we choose our own normal, right? Why don't we reconfigure what normal is for us? And I love the fact that this is right across the globe, right? Everybody gets an opportunity to decide how they want to play, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Do you want to play the game that was there before? Do you want to create a new game? You want to go back to the matrix or free yourself from the matrix? Do you want the blue pill, the red pill, no pill? What do you want? It gives you an opportunity, because everything was taken away of what was normal. So
Mm-hmm.
you get an opportunity to have another choice. And to me, it's all about choices, right?
I
If you did,
absolutely agree. And I kind of want to back up about that. Forgive me for interrupting you.
oh,
But we
or,
tend to forget that normal, right, isn't something that we as individuals like try to create, right? We as individuals do what we do, and then the most of us that do the same thing, that gets labeled as normal, right? So it's a created construct that we create by our grouping, by our community, by our society. So rather than, and from that point of view, we can never go back to what was normal before, right?
I hope not. I hope not.
Me too. Me too. We don't want to go there. We want to create from joy, from what fulfills us, from what satisfies us now as individuals, so that that becomes the new normal. Living a fully self expressed, satisfying, joyful life to be normal. I mean, at least that's the normal I'd like to create. What kind of normal would you like to create?
Well, my whole life has been dealing with what normalcy is, and being an empath, yeah, and being born in 1945, there wasn't even a term called an empath or a highly sensitive person.
Mm-mm.
So, and nobody gave me the manual for Planet Earth. And by the way, I'm writing the manual for empaths for Planet Earth because it wasn't an easy job. I mean, I thought everybody saw the world that I did. And I was brave enough or dumb enough, depending on how you want to look at it, to speak my truth. Got myself in a lot of trouble.
I'll bet you
You
did.
you can't say that, or or whatever, or you better be quiet, or going to going to school and talking about UFOs, right, as a normal thing. I'm reading a book by George Adamski, and he would get vibrations in his head, which would tell him to go to the White Sands Desert, and he'd be picked up by a UFO. And I think, how come I don't get that in my head? I want to get picked up. Come on, pick me up, take me home. This planet is a crazy place to be. Get me out of here. But they never did come to pick me up. And so normalcy for me was like, if that's normal, the only way that I can survive in normal is pretend that it's a game I'm playing. It's a
Okay.
vast, like, there was a video game, so I couldn't say video game because that wasn't created yet. But in this terminology, I would say a massive video game that I'm playing. So I had to learn what it was to have a scientific, rational mind. I had to learn what it was to go to university, because when I thought the teachers say, "Well, what do you think about that poem?" They wanted to know.
Yeah, no.
No, no. I had to have a roommate sit me down and say, look, forget all this. They want you to be the best parent on the planet. Oh, I can do that. That's what I'm supposed to be. Like, nobody told me the rules of this planet, right? So when I learned to be a parent, did very, very well academically. So learning how to play the game of life, whatever this is, or the game of normalcy, was really, really a challenge for me, because I knew that if I ever spoke my truth, they'd lock me up. So, having said all that, then my passion was, okay, who else out there is an empath or a highly sensitive person, and how can I help them be welcomed on the planet Earth and know that there's other crazy people like them that understand that, and why are they here, and what are we collectively supposed to be doing with with this awareness, right?
Right.
With this knowingness.
Now,
And
did that become your mission?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's my mission. My mission is to help highly sensitive people and empaths as business strategist coach, because they're all here as planetary change agents. They're not here to fit in. Right? They weren't born to fit in. You can't fit in. You'll just feel like, so stop trying to fit in, right?
There's a really popular coach slash guru who does a really interesting little talk about fitting in, disguised as a conversation about him going out with a woman who had a Mini Cooper car, and he's a very tall man, and he's like, which limb do you need me to cut off to be with you?
Right. Or what advanced yoga do I need to learn to get in and out of this car, right?
Exactly. And how many pieces of me do I need to leave behind
Right, to fit in.
to
And,
fit
and
in?
that's what it felt like to me.
Hmm.
And to help these new kids, rainbows or crystals or whatever you want to label them, or indigos, tell them, let them know that you don't need to be on drugs or Ritalin, or you don't need the diagnosis of autism and all the rest of it, that you can be who you are and your uniqueness, and there's people that can welcome you for that uniqueness and help you develop those unique gifts that are God-given, right? And not only that, that they're superpowers. So how can we help you know these superpowers so that you can deliver those passions that you have, that only you have, into helping make this a better world to live in? So that's my passion.
That is wonderful stuff. I want to ask you, how do you define superpowers? Um,
Well, some people would call them clairs, like clair audio, clair sentient, clair, whatever the clairs are, right?
mhm,
So those are the superpowers. Like for most empaths, in the beginning, it's overwhelming, right?
mhm,
Because as highly sensitive people, they feel everything inside of themselves. And if you feel everything inside of yourself, as an empath, you're a great healer and you do a great job. But if you're running all that emotion, all that sickness through your body, you're going to crash and burn. So hopefully you find somebody like me or somebody who does that work that said, hey, we need you to create some boundaries. This is you and this is them. And you don't need to help them by running this all through you, because you're going to exhaust yourself. It's like 200, like taking 220 volts and running it through 120-volt appliance. It's going to burn out.
mhm.
So helping make those boundaries, right? That what is yours and what's somebody else, so that you can take back your personal power and claim it, stand in your truth, and then you can help other people without being overwhelmed or burnt out. So that's sort of the first step, is you don't have to be responsible for all of everything that's around you.
Mhm. That makes sense. Makes a lot of good sense. Now, your personal boundaries, where do you fall on the spectrum where it comes to when you're creating boundaries as an empath? Some people are like, oh, you put yourself in a bubble. Other people are like, don't do the bubble. The bubble implodes. It's a bad thing. Where are you on
Yeah,
that conversation?
yeah, that's a great question, because no, I don't create a bubble. Um, I believe that all energy is energy. We live in an energy universe. And if I want to label something as good, bad, or indifferent, right, wrong, I have no clue. And I'm whistling Dixie. I might as well be whistling Dixie.
Hmm.
I have no idea on this dimension what's good, bad, or ugly, or indifferent. So I'm just going to transform it all. So I mean, if I'm taking what I think is negative and I'm doing this,
Hmm.
I'm spending a lot of energy doing this, right?
Right.
So if I at the boundaries say that I welcome all energy and I'm going to transmute whatever's non-beneficial for me into beneficial, then all that energy is available for me, right? There's no judgment on it, right?
Excellent,
So
excellent.
that's how I do it. And that's how I teach other people to do it, so that we don't get caught into this yin and yang, good, bad, the war between light and dark, or we have to overcome this and we have to create a sphere of light and we have to take all the bad guys and make the good guys, and who's wearing the white hat and the black hat. It just gets overwhelming, confusing, especially with COVID-19, because we got all this conspiracy theory, you know, who knows what the truth is? And then we have a president who's talking about false news. So what is reality? Reality is pretty well anything that you want to accept is real to you, is your own reality, which is what you've been taught from the first, is you create the world with every thought, word, deed, and action. So what do you want to create today?
Yeah.
It's your choice.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And I think a lot of people that have enjoyed the luxury of having those in authority or in power making decisions for them, so that they don't have that responsibility and that possibility of failure, so to speak, are kind of bumping up against that they actually do have to choose, what they're going to believe, what is going to shape their world, and just being handed a menu is not sufficient anymore. We have to actually start making our own meals.
Yeah, we have to make a choice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. And before we didn't know a choice. Most people didn't know there was a choice because they were running on automatic pilot, which you said, it's a collective consciousness of what normal is. To be normal, I vote this way, my daddy voted this way, and I need to fit in here, and I go to this church and I do that. I make a lot of money and I get married and blah, blah, blah. And, I collect toys and then I, whatever, and then I get the gold star or whatever. So, there's this whole thing, this illusionary way of showing up on this planet, which has got nothing to do with our capabilities of who we are as human. And we are magnificent gods in potentia that can create heaven on earth. And so why aren't we doing it? Well, because we didn't know that we had that capability. So
yeah.
here we have
Somebody in authority told us that we didn't have that capability. We had to go through them to get it.
You sit down, sit up straight, and be quiet.
Yes. Awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about not just how you manage your personal boundaries, but how do you ground? There's a lot of different thoughts on that as well. What's your process, and what's your best advice for others?
Well, I have a number of things going on. I am in a sea of technology. So I'm the wizard in the curtain, not behind the curtain. So see all that scalar wave generators, and they are quantum sound generators that activate the higher dimensional elemental in our bodies. So like helium, krypton, oxygen. So it's vibrating at a higher level that's entraining me to those high level of frequency. This is another whole set of equipment that's been gifted to me, $3,000 worth of equipment that one of my clients in England said, I love what you're doing. You need to know about this technology. I'm shipping you this technology, and I even haven't had time to reassemble it. So I'm a very lucky guy. I get people showing up with all sorts of technology for me to play with, right? Which has to do with stabilizing the energy field that I live in. So I literally live in a mini light center that is broadcasting 24/7, 365 with the technology that I've been gifted with or I've bought, which entrains anybody who's in the neighborhood to that higher level and keeps you there. The beauty of this, so when you entrain to it, it becomes automatic. You run that program 24/7, 365, and you take it with you. So the laws of the universe with energy or vibration is the dominant or the strongest. I don't want to say dominant because it sounds power over. I don't mean that. The strongest force, because it talks about force fields, always causes you to rise to that. Just like the clock in in the clock shop, the one that goes tick tock and has the strongest frequency, that within 24 hours, all the clocks in the shop go tick tock, tick
I did
tock.
not know that actually.
Or all the women in the dormitory all have their periods at the
That one I know.
same time. Okay, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why not live in an environment? So I've created an environment that is always helping me up level, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do this. So that's one, and to do that, I have to be clearing out what no longer serves me, right? On the bottom level.
Right.
And so I created a protocol. It's called the Deep Clearing Protocol. It's, I don't know, it's 64 statements. And you use your pendulum, which is creating a vortex, like if you think of a cyclone uh, that goes across the face of the earth that just sucks up everything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this cyclone that you create inside of yourself takes out all of what you no longer want when you claim it to be so, right? And then when you clear that out and go to 0 point, then you install what you do want. So it's a 21-day protocol, although the latest information that it takes more than 21 days to create a new habit actually takes something like 60. So I encourage people to go from day 21 to day 60 to do the deeper work. So it's really clearing what you don't want, installing what you do want. And this creates a new, I want to say bubble, or you could, do you have a field? Yes, this is a field, but it's not a conscious pushing out field. It's a field of just who you be, right?
Right.
And
Like your auric field.
like your auric field, which means that if you're here and the entity or the discarded being or whatever's going on is here, they no longer, and you're here, they no longer have access to you.
Mm-hmm.
The only way they can have access to you is according to the law of matching frequency if your energy is such through fear or doubt or shame or gain or whatever has been lowered. This is why it's so critical with COVID-19 is to help everybody get out of fear, because it's crashing your immune system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lowering your energy levels so that all sorts of crazy things can happen in your energy field that you normally wouldn't experience, like entities, like things that go bump in the night, all those sorts of things that we really don't talk about in our culture, but are as real as you could ever, imagine, right?
Right.
So that's what I've done, or that's what I do. And of course, I garden, or I try to get out in the garden as much as possible. That grounds me. Go walking with the dog, or go to the gym.
Nice. Nice. I tend to do a little bit of visualization and sometimes crystals as well. But that technology that you're just talking about sounds very, very interesting, and I'm sure that some of our audience would be interested in finding out more about that. When we put this up, can you put some information in the comments about how they can get a hold of that?
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
appreciate that very much because that sounds very, very helpful. I've explored a few different energy frequency generators. I've had the opportunity to over the years, and that sounds like another one that would.
Yeah, this is a personal one in the sense that you're the one that's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the thing is that you can take it with you because it's you, right?
Right, right.
You don't have
Excellent.
to pack. You don't have to pack technology around, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
are the technology.
Yeah, exactly. One of the machines that I had the good fortune to take advantage of before is this enormous octagonal shaped. Maybe it's a I don't know.
It's probably a dodecahedron.
Thank you. That's probably exactly what it is. And there's a mattress that runs through it. It is so big that you lay down inside it. Definitely not portable.
Yeah, it's in my basement.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
And we have a dodecahedron sound chamber with an amethyst mat that you can experience. I also am a sound coach, and I use quantum sound therapy, which are these guys here, right?
Mm-hmm.
To put your voice and your attention into 8 ounces of structured water, and then you drink this. So that's 5 or 6 glasses a day, which hydrates your cells, flushes out the toxins, and puts your attention in at the cellular level. And then there's more information in your voice than there is in your fingerprint. So I do a voice analysis of you and show you what's going on in the chakras, and you get a 23 or 32-minute sound file that you listen to once a day. So it's another technological way in which you can do an entrainment to let go of what no longer serves you and install what you do want, using water and vibrational frequencies, quantum sound therapy. So part of that is the dodecahedron downstairs, which is using sacred geometry to help enhance that.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. I think that we could go on for days talking about all of the different techniques and tools that you've run across and still use. But I do want to get to the things that we are offering the audience today, and that is a free 15-minute exploratory consultation. The link is in the scrolling ticker that's going across the screen right now, but we'll also put all of that information in with the post when we load this up onto Facebook and YouTube. But I want to ask you, before we go, do you have any final thoughts for our audience today?
I think this is a unique opportunity for the reset on planet Earth for yourself and for your family and for your culture and for your society and for the globe as a whole. And so I hope everybody takes advantage of this opportunity to decide what's their new norm. What do they want to show up in their life, and to choose it? Because for the first time, we have some choices that are really, really important that we didn't know we had choices about ever before. So that's what I'd like to leave people with. And I'm all about helping people make choices. And it's not that any choice is better than any other. It's just, please make a choice. And if you don't like that, make another choice, but make a choice, right?
Right.
That's the point.
That's it. That's absolutely correct. Well, thank you again, Tyhson, for being with me today. Thank you for your guidance and your leadership, and for everything that you're doing to help birth this literal new shift, this new world into being, and that you have been doing, obviously, for decades. So thanks for the long labor, and thanks for the effort and the love that has gone into that labor.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
For me as well. All right, Facebook, have an absolutely fantastic day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye. When you open yourself up, recovery progresses so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show you how.